निज नाम कोरीधा तारिलो जगत तुमियो जाया तारिलो जगत तुमियो जाया लोहो निज परित्रा लोहो निज परित्रा एमो न दुर्मति संसार भितरे पड़िया चिनो आमी से कत सुनिया असिया चिनात तुम्हारे चरणे तारे से कत सुनिया असिया चिनात तुम्हारे चरण तारे तुम्हारे चरण ताले भक्ति विनोद कंडिया कंडिया भक्ति विनोद कंडिया कंडिया आपन काहिनी बोले आपन काहिनी बोले प्रभु है मोन दुर्मति संसार भितरे पड़िया चिनो आमी प्रभु है मोन दुर्मति संसार भितरे पड़िया चिनो आमी तब निज जाना कोन महाजाने पातैय दिवे तुगी प्रभु है मोन दुर्मति संसार भितरे पड़िया चिनो आमी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ये मोन दुर्मति संसार भितरे पड़िया चिनो आमी प्रभु हे मोर दुर्मति संसार भितरे पड़िया चिनो आमी Oh Lord, such a wicked mind has brought me into this world, but one of your pure and elevated devotees has come to bring me out of it. He saw me so fallen and wretched, took pity, and came to me saying, "Oh, humble soul, please listen to this good thing, for it will gladden your heart. Oh, humble soul, please listen to this good thing, for it will gladden your heart." Sri Krishna Chaitanya has appeared in the land of Navadvipa to deliver you. He has safely conducted many miserable souls such as you across the sea of worldly existence. To fulfill the promise of the Vedas, the son of a Brahmana bearing the name Mahaprabhu of golden complexion has descended with his brother, the Avaduta Nityananda. Together, they have overwhelmed all of Nadia with divine ecstasy. Sri Chaitanya, who is Krishna himself, the son of Nanda, has saved the world by freely distributing his own holy name. Go and receive your deliverance. Go and receive your deliverance. O Lord, hearing these words, Bhakti Vinoda has come weeping to the soles of your lotus feet and tells the story of your life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm finished. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Satyadevata Prabhuji. So beautifully, sir. Very nice bhajana. Welcome back, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Prabhupada. So we offer our prayers to our Guru Parampara, all the way to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then to Shri Krishna. we'll also address in the prayer and the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, seeking their mercy and blessings. Hare Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्री प्रभुपाद नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः. O most munificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangapangostra Parshadam Yagna hi Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Su Medhasaham. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnaik Nipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanya Karau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Ananden Mattalikau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds because they are situated, they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the loving, transcendental loving service, devotional service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam ततो जयम् उदीरयत् नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय श्री प्रभुपाद जय श्री प्रभुपाद Govindam Adi Purusham Tamam Bhajami. Hare Krishna everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. Welcome back. So um, um, yesterday, for me this morning, we heard, of course we have been hearing from Sri Jagadananda Prabhu's composition Prema Vivarta, and we heard lesson 8. So now we'll hear from lesson 9. 8 we heard, so 9 we are hearing now. But before I begin, let's recap lesson 8 that we covered yesterday, and for me, of course, this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept the humble obeisances. So, yesterday we did lesson 8 of Prema Vivarta. It covered 2 chapters. In chapter 14, we saw Viparita Vivarta, the contradictory transformations, whereby by seeing Navadvipa, one sees Vrindavan only. So, here Jagdananda Pandit shares his experience. He says that once when he was in a very remorseful state first for not having gone to Vrindavan, and in this very sorrowful state, a very desperate state, he saw a dream. He says, in the dream, I walked a long way and arrived at the shore of the ocean, where I saw Gaura's wonderful dancing. Gadadhara and devotees joyfully danced with him, and they sang songs which were like showers of nectar. So when they finished dancing and singing, Lord Gaura came and took my hand and said, You left in anger. Tell me, what was my fault? Your heart is so fickle. You left me here and you went to Vraja. Come, let me embrace you. Cook at midday and give me some rice and spinach to relieve my hunger. O Jagdananda, after you left, I ate and slept with a very unhappy heart. And why did you leave me? And Jaga, you have always been merciless to me. Quickly see Vraja and come back and offer me some rice, spinach, and vegetables. Then I will be able to live and you will be happy also. Never leave me out of anger again. Suddenly, Jagdananda Pandit woke up and he saw that he was on the bank of Ganges, which is very far away from Vrindavan. So he says, Oh, this is Navadvipa Dhama. It is the eternal abode of Lord Gaura's pastimes and the perfect essence of Praja. Overjoyed to be in Mayapur, he entered the house of Mother Shachi and bowed down at her lotus feet. And he explained her what Lord Gaura had told him. And quickly he came out and saw the divine opulence of Navadvipa. He felt as if he has already seen Vrindavan. So why he should go so far away to Vrindavan? Instead, he said he will meet Lord Gaura here and give up all his sadness and and leave behind the sorrow of separation. So this was chapter 14. And in chapter 15, the chapter 15 is Sri Navadvipa Purvahana Leela. Sri Navadvipa Purvahana Leela, which is the morning pastimes of Sri Navadvipa. So Jagdanand Pandit mentions that he says that he writes whatever comes to his mind, and it may not be in the correct sequence. So he writes this wonderful Leela So one day, Mother Sachi lovingly served him with the remnants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which he relished as pure nectar. And after eating, he walked with Gaur Nitai and their associates on the banks of Ganga, chanting Harinam, and they arrived in Gadigacha village. He described uh, uh, the beautiful kirtan that they did over there, and he says that I don't know dancing, but I still dance with my raised hands as if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enters me and makes me dance. So this was his bhava for the Lord. Then in Gadigacha village, they entered a neighborhood of cowherds where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told that we will walk around the lake and rest under this tree. The cows are very happy under the banyan tree, so let us play with the cowherd boys. The cowherd boys over there, they came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's party and offered them yogurt and butter, and this relieved them of all the tiredness from walking. Then a boy named Narsimhananda, who was named so as he was a great devotee of Lord Narsimha, came along with Pradyumna and Purushottam Acharya, and hearing the sounds of Mridanga, all came out, and the skies resounded with the sounds of Hari. There, a boy named Bhima came forward and spoke to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said that my mother Shama serves your mother Shachi and calls her Shachi Ai. Hence, you are my uncle. So please come to my house along with everyone and chant Hare Krishna. I will serve you by offering yogurt and milk, and I will massage your feet. On Bhima's request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to his house with everyone. Uh, Bhima's mother Shama was very elated, and she served all with yogurt and condensed milk, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees ate respectfully. After eating, they went to the edge of the lake chanting Harinam. There, Ramdas told them that their cows do not drink water from the lake because of a fearful crocodile. On hearing Ramdas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted the holy name, and on hearing the holy name, the crocodile came out and he touched the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And on touching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he turned into a child demigod. The child demigod wept, and he told that he was cursed by Dhruvasa Muni because he mischievously cut his dreadlocks in Kamyavan while he was resting. He was cursed to suffer in the form of crocodile for 4 Chaturyugas. When he repented, Dhruvasa Muni told him that Lord Krishna will come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvipa and liberate you from this curse, and you will get your heavenly body again, and you will return to the abode of gods. The child demigod glorified Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the savior of the fallen, shelter of humble and lowly, and of one who is shelterless. He said, your glories resound in 14 worlds for having saved me. You have descended in Navadvipa as the savior in the age of Kali. You will deliver the souls in Kali Yuga by giving Harinam. After spending 4 ages as crocodile, you delivered me as I am the most fallen. Harinam from your mouth is sweet nectar, which delivers innumerable souls, both moving and inert. Please permit me to go back to my abode and see my parents. Having said, the child demigod bowed down and left for his abode, and the sounds of Kirtana again resounded in the sky. At midday, all went to Mayapur with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The falashruti of this pastime is whoever hears this pastime becomes free from Brahmana's curse. Hence, since then, the lake was known as Oradaha, like Kaliyadaha in Raja. It's mentioned that sins are removed and devotion to Lord Krishna is attained by seeing and touching this lake. The cowherd boys, on seeing the pastime, out of divine love, called out, Gauranga uncle, and carried Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on their shoulders. When everyone saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's morning pastimes, in their hearts they saw Lord Krishna and Balarama pastime. They saw Govardhana and Lord Krishna's cowherd pastime on the banks of Manas Ganga. The cowherd boys understood that the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are the pastimes of Lord Krishna only. Hence, there is no difference between Vrindavana and Navadvip. So this was the beautiful pastime that we did yesterday. And here a couple of things Prabhuji mentioned, very important. The meaning of Gora. Gora, till now we know, is somebody with a very illuminated and very fair complexion. But here it means go for Govinda plus Ra for Radha. So Govinda and Radha is Gora. Further, Prabhuji mentioned about the Godruma Dvipa, which is one of the Dvipa of the Navdvipa. So Godruma, meaning of Godruma is go, which is cow, which is not a normal cow, which is a Surabhi cow, and Druma is banyan tree. So Godruma means the cow under the banyan tree. And this pastime happened in Godruma Dvipa. And also the meaning of Navdvipa is 9 islands, and each of these islands represents one of the form of bhakti of the Navada Bhakti. So the Godruma Dvipa represents the first form of Navada Bhakti, which is chanting and listening to the glories of the Lord. And today, Prabhuji will tell us further nectar in lesson 9. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Samata Mataji. Thank you very much. So nicely recapping what we did yesterday and lesson 8. So now we move forward to lesson 9. So as I usually do, I give you a broad synopsis of what Jagadananda Prabhu attempts to do in this chapter. And then after explaining what is to come, so that to give you a broadest possible idea of the subject matter and what is his approach. And then we will actually hear in the author's own words how he's describing, because he has a style and I like it very much, very simple, straightforward style, as if he's speaking directly to us in front of us, but he really tackles very difficult subject matters, and I really give him a very high marks for the tackling such a difficult, philosophically very dense subject, and that is Krishna Prema, Krishna Prema Bhakti, and that is the ultimate goal of all human form of life, and the science of it even more difficult to understand and to explain, and he does it so remarkably well, and the way he does his approach, his strategy is this. What he does, he let us hear the dialogue taking place between Raghunath Das Goswami, who is one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. In fact, we did his composition Mana Siksha, Sri Mana Siksha, not too long ago, so here and there we learned about his brief biography, that Raghunath Das Goswami was from a very rich family, and his parents, against his wish, arranged for him to get married with a very beautiful woman. He didn't want to get into Grastha ashram at all. Right from his childhood, he was renounced, and he was very much attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he wanted to leave. So when he got married, after a little while, he escaped and ran away to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who at that time was in Jagannath Puri, and immediately surrender unto his lotus feet. So Mahaprabhu, actually what he did, he arranged Swarup Damodar Goswami to take care of Raghunath Das Goswami and to enlighten him. So there, what we hear in Jagadananda Prabhu's own words, he introduces this dialogue that Raghunath Das Goswami himself is asking to Swarup Damodar Goswami, who is the authority in understanding this Krishna Prema Bhakti, the science of Krishna Prema. So that way, the author, in a very, very intelligent way, he takes us towards the explanation was given by Swarup Damodar Goswami, the authority on Krishna Prema, to Raghunath Das Goswami. Okay, and after giving the brief overview and brief explanation, then Swarup Damodar Goswami actually asked him to go and approach directly Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. So that's where he did. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains in detail the science of Krishna Prema. And the way he actually did in first, right, when he approached Swarup Damodar Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami approached Swarup Damodar Goswami and asked him about this. And he gave an example that what he read from these great poets, Chandidas, and that poetry is all about this prema, but it on the surface it seemed like a love between a young boy and a young girl. There was nothing divinity about it, and he knew that Mahaprabhu loved to sing in the company of Swarup Damodar Goswami. This particular poem of Chandidas, and there's another author also. It's a very well-known poem actually, but on the surface it looks very much like a mundane love affair between a young couple, so he couldn't understand why would Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a very strict sannyasi, would want to hear and sing himself this poetry, and he couldn't understand where is this divinity. It sounded like very much like this mundane love affair. So that's where Swarup Damodar Goswami explains to him, and now we approach by the recommendation of Swarup Damodar Goswami, he directly approaches and asks Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself that please explain to me where is the divinity in this poem that I know that you like to sing in the company of Swarup Damodar Goswami. So Mahaprabhu actually gives him explaining. So in a very ingenious way, intelligent way, the author introduced this subject through the introduction of these great personalities, and that is how we learn the science of Krishna Prema. Okay, and then of course, in the process, we also hear Mahaprabhu mentioning about Ramananda Roy, and how in a very, very elevated personality he is. In fact, we knew about Ramananda's Roy. If you remember, one of the courses we dealt, actually there, Ramananda Roy, as being described by Mahaprabhu himself, that he is a very advanced soul. In fact, his body is not material at all. In fact, his body is all spiritualized, and we know what it means. Even though having a material body and spiritualized means no more action of the three modes of material nature. It's not under the control of Maya, directly under the control of Shri Krishna himself, So that is how we hear about Ramananda Rai, and Ramananda Rai, Mahaprabhu himself actually describes that as he has a spiritual body because he is to train young girls in a play, actually, and the girls were totally naked, and still he would not be affected at all. So that is the example Mahaprabhu is to give, how he's on a spiritual platform. So this is how we hear the unfolding explanation of this very complex, philosophically very dense philosophy of Krishna Prema Bhakti. Okay, so with that kind of introduction, and now we will hear in the words of the author, and in the word directly, the words of from Swarup Damodar Goswami to Raghunath Das Goswami, and then Raghunath Das himself approaches, because being recommended by Swarup Damodar Goswami, and directly ask Mahaprabhu himself. So now we are going to hear Mahaprabhu's actual explanation of the science of Krishna Prema. Okay, so that is the now we will hear directly. So we will let me share my screen, of course. So this is our familiar slide, and this is the yellow box showing lesson 9, which is chapter 10, chapter 16, the love of God, Krishna Prema. Okay. So here is the lesson, this chapter 16. There are 61 texts, and he calls this Piriti Ki Rupa. In fact, it's Bengali, and actually the word is Priti, actually, but the way the Bengalis pronounce is Piriti. So Priti Ki Rupa, what is the love of God? That's the question he's asking. So he himself they explains this chapter 16 in this, what I mentioned, this particular thematic way. These are the thematics ways he's explaining, and so I used as themes, and text 1 to 14. That's where he's explaining. Remember, he is not explaining directly. He's quoting the dialogue between Raghunath Das Goswami and Swarup Damodar Goswami, and thereby we are going to hear directly from the lotus mouth of Mahaprabhu himself. What is the science of love of God? So that is, love of God is in a general term, but to be more specific, love of Krishna. That's what we hear from text 15 to 23, 24 to 27. That kind of love, it is not possible for any of us. It's only being experienced by the gopis of Vrindavan, Braja gopis. They understand what is ecstatic love. And text 28, 29, then by that comparison, what is there in Vraja, so-called Sahajias. Sahajias are the people, other end of the spectrum, those who are imitate. They act themselves as Krishna, and having a mundane kind of play between different women. So that is really a grossest offense one can commit. So he's explaining the Sahaja's love. Okay. Text 30 to 31, then we get to hear this Ramananda Rai that I just explained to you. So who is qualified? Text 32, we hear the qualification required to hear. Who is qualified in the art of love? Of course, there's the Braja Gopis and Krishna. 33 to 36, it is impossible to cultivate love as long as one has the mentally being male or female. very, very important element in trying to understand this Krishna Prema, the science of Krishna Prema. If we are in that kind of concept that I'm male or somebody's female, that gender wise identification of the self, then you are never going to get. Because only male is Krishna. We are all actually females to be enjoyed by Sri Krishna in Prema and Prema Bhakti, particularly serving the Lord in loving devotional service. That is what we are meant to be. 37 to 47, to attribute this love of God on matter in material terms, if you're going to try to attempt to understand, then it's really hellish. Means we are never going to get far from that. This is completely on a spiritual platform, on a divine aspect of it. So one has to not only forget that we are male or female, but also we cannot hope to understand material terms. Okay, because if we do, then it is it's very kind of a deceitful way to understand, and that's a typical manifestation of the influence of Kali, the age of Kali. Text 48 to 54, Mahaprabhu now directly going to explain to Raghunath Das Goswami. That's what we are going to hear, that the primary explanation of the science of Krishna Prema. And then last two, text 55, 56 to 61, that is where he reintroduces. He had already dealt before, as we heard before, the explanation of this renunciation. What is a proper renunciation, and how do you distinguish from the improper? Proper is Yukta Vairagya. The improper is this Falgu Vairagya, the false kind of renunciation, But now he's going to introducing that in the context of trying to understand Krishna Prema. Exactly in this particular context, we are going to hear that. So that is the walkthrough of the entire chapter. So now we'll go one by one segment of it. So first, text 1 to 14, what is the science of Krishna Prema? And we'll go this way. So one day, now we are going to hear in what context the author is going to explain to us. As I already told you, that he's going to bring us Raghunath Das Goswami asking this question to Swarup Damodar Goswami, because he was confused when he read that poetry of this well-known author, that he heard that Mahaprabhu always himself liked to sing and hear in the company of Swarup Damodar Goswami. And to him, it did not seem at all divinity at all. It seemed like a mundane love affair between a young couple, So that's why he's putting forward that question to Swarup Damodar. So he's saying, what is love? Please teach me in the essence, its very essence. I cannot understand the love that poets Vidyapati and Chandidas, they are very well-known authors actually, who wrote that poem about that. And they're describing love, but that sounded very much like in material terms, So the love that I understand from their words externally is nothing more than the love between a young couple, a boy and a girl, Only the gopis and as far as he said, as far as I know, that kind of love only exists between the gopis, Vraja gopis and Krishna. No one is qualified for that. So his confusion is putting forward, straightforward. So how is that love between love has been accepted as spiritual, which clearly sounds like a mundane love, and please explain me. I really I don't see that any kind of spirituality in that. Uh, and why do they call mundane lust divine? That's his question. So Mahaprabhu always, and he said that I know Mahaprabhu always loved to sing this song, this poetry of this Vidyapati and Chandidas. Okay. And I know Mahaprabhu will never want to hear a mundane love affair, you know. So Lord put me in your hand. And remember, when I came first here, uh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself put me under the direction of you to explain me all these things, So he reminds Swarup Damodar Goswami about that. Please help me understand the nature of love. Then I will be fulfilled and leave behind all the doubt. All my doubts would be resolved. I trust. So then Swarup Damodar Goswami now is going to address. So first he's going to explain to him in general terms, and after that giving some fundamentals, and then in fact tells him to go and hear directly from Mahaprabhu himself. So here Swarup Damodar Goswami's brief summary of it. Oh, Brother Raghunath Das, confidentially, I will reveal the truth to you. But please remember, neither I, nor Ramanda Rai, nor Gadadhar Pandit, or anyone else will ever understand the depth of Krishna Prema. It's that complex, Still, if Gaurachandra, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, mercifully takes control of my tongue, so he says, before he attempts to even explain general terms, he says that he prays Mahaprabhu himself speak my own tongue, and causes me to speak about his love. Then you will know that the highest truth has been revealed to you. So my tongue is just like an instrument of Mahaprabhu, as if you are hearing from Mahaprabhu. That said, he still asks him to go and hear directly from Mahaprabhu. So when you hear it, Raghunath Das, you will be overjoyed. All his doubts will be removed. Know that Krishna, so this Krishna Karnamrita, actually later we'll hear this personality. Let's wait until we hear. So this composition of Krishna Karnamrita, if that great poet is there, okay. And the songs of Chandidas Vidyapati and Ramanda Rai are invaluable scriptures that contains no lust at all. Even though it sounds lusty, okay, materially, but it's all spiritual. They are repository of love, and by nature it is divine. Have no doubt about it. All these descriptions of men and women, within them are analogies. So in the poem, what you hear, they are actually analogies, so that you can average person can understand. Average person can only relate in material terms. That is the reason it was explained that way in that poetry. But really, those are just analogies to explain the divinity of Krishna Prema. So Krishna is never present within the description of material lust, because Krishna himself is all spiritual, and so are the gopis. Consider the descriptions within them to be divine. So take it as divine, even though you don't understand, but understand them. So, in other words, directly, author is saying to us also, right from beginning, you must assume this is all on devotional, on a spiritual platform. So whether man or a woman, one cannot understand this supreme truth by engaging in mundane lusty activities with their material body. One who tries to imitate, Krishna can never obtain pure love of God, and his worship of God turns out to be a trick of Maya. So don't even attempt that. All right. This is a great lesson for all of us, okay? Okay, so in this slide, now we'll hear text 15 to 23. Love for Krishna is perfectly pure, like the pure water of the Ganges. It is an ocean of nectar. Within such pure love, there's not even trace of mundanity. Means it's not at all anything material or lusty. It's all prema. And prema, whenever you say prema, it's on the transcendental platform. Lust is on the material platform. And we already know, we discussed this thing a few classes earlier, the difference between lust and prema, right? The fundamental difference is lust. The lover expects pleasure from his beloved. Okay, but prema, the lover is trying to please his beloved, and only when his beloved is pleased, then he derives the pleasure. So there is no nothing selfish about it. So here, coming direct in the example of gopis derive pleasure only by pleasing the senses of Krishna. When Krishna is pleased, there is their pleasure. So there is the prema. When you try to expect pleasure by yourself, for yourself, from your beloved, then that is material lust. That's exactly the material term. That's what we all expect. Pure love is in the ocean of joy. I have received one drop of, I've received one drop. So here, Swarup Damodara Goswami is telling that I just received one drop of it. Okay. And that drop flooded the world. Loving the material body is merely a form of lust, and one's divine body will never be revealed by doing so. So those who are blinded by insincere love are far from having pure love. No one can get Krishna with such love. Know for certain that those who still shed tears are only making a show of their fortune. The Sahajas, they make just a show. The stimuli of those who have love for Krishna is spiritual. Their gestures, ecstasies, and the emotions having spiritual forms manifest and play within their spiritual bodies. So now we see the name of that, what I was just telling you about, Lila Shuka. Actually, Lila Shuka has been explained. I did again background search. Lila Shuka is actually Bilva Mangala, that we are all familiar. Who is Bilva Mangala? Is a great poet who composed Krishna Karnamrita, you know, and that, and his history, if you know, he was once attached to a very beautiful girl who was a dancer in a court. So he fell in such deep love with that young girl that he went to his extreme length to see her. Once there was a very stormy, rainy night. There was a torrential rain, and the rivers were swollen. And he wanted to see this particular girl, and he jumped into the river. River was fully swollen, and then there was a dead body floating. So he did not even realize that was a dead body. He thought it was a piece of wood, and he hold on it to go to his beloved's home. And when he reached there, his beloved was in 2 or 3 stories upstairs. So he climbed through that, holding as if it's a staircase, but it was not. Actually, it was a snake. So he was so blindly in love with that girl, that dead body as a piece of wood, and the snake as something to keep holding and go upstairs. Okay? So when his beloved found out about it, what length he went through to see her, she told him that, listen, if you just did all this thing just to see me, I'm a mortal being. Really, if you had done even a fraction of it for the Supreme Lord, you would go far away. Immediately, he came to his senses, and that's why he was very talented poet, of course, below Mangala, and he composed this Krishna Karanamrita, and that is what this Vidyapati Chandidas was glorifying that description actually, So that is Lila Shuka. Is the most fortunate. Krishna came before him and revealed the divine rasas of the Vraja to him, and that's why he put it in his poetic composition, Krishna Karanamrita. When he gave up bodily pleasures and broke away from material paraphernalia, he totally woke up when his beloved explained to him that really I am not a worthy object for that. You should really worship Krishna in that. From material paraphernalia, Krishna was greatly pleased by this thing. So Vidyapati and Chandidas rejected the tainted rasas of the past and attained divine rasa. So really, these two poets explaining the Krishna Karnamrita and their own composition was really of such spiritual love, uh, and the past and attained divine rasa. They left behind the crude pleasures that existed previously, became captivated by divine love, and attained service to Krishna. So their poetry is really on a divine platform, divinity, and that's why Mahaprabhu loved it. But the ordinary person who tries to read it would not understand that. So that is why Raghunath Das Goswami was perplexed, because he could not see the spiritual aspect of that love in that poem. So those who are intoxicated by crude pleasure do not attain the essence of devotion to Krishna. And Krishna, the flute player, does not become the object of their love. So that ought to be our object. We are all females meant to be enjoyed by Krishna in our service to him. Okay? So when souls leave behind crude pleasure, that means material aspect of it, and serve Krishna spiritually in that regard, even though we have material body, Krishna is so merciful, he will accept our love and consider it as a divine, and sees him playing this flute. They then attain the bodies of the gopis. So then we might become gopis eventually, hopefully, and run to Vrindavan and leaving behind all the previous attachments. Mahaprabhu's verse. So now, after explaining, Mahaprabhu puts it in his own words. Okay, I do not have. Now look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna, none other than Krishna himself. But look at his Dainya Bhava. He does not even consider himself. He says, I do not even have a trace of love for Krishna. Still, I cry to show that I have a great fortune without a glimpse of the face of that flute player, Krishna. I carry on my meaningless insect-like life. Incredible. Mahaprabhu himself considered that low himself, That is the kind of Dainya Bhava is Krishna is looking for within us, from us. Okay, so now in this text 24 to 36, what we see here, so what I've done, I'm going to expand in 3 segments, verses 24 to 36. The first segment is 24 to 27, shown in this box, and then 30 to 32 in this box, and then 33 to 36 in this box on the left top. I'm the left top, okay? So here, 24 to 29. 24 to 27, no one understands love except the Braj Gopis. That kind of love, divine love to Krishna. People say love, 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 love. But who has understood love? The author Jagadananda Prabhu is putting that question to all of us, that we talk about Krishna Prema, 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 but do we really understand what that word signifies? We don't. The souls who can actually understand love, they become gopis in Vraja. Unless you become gopis, even Lakshmi Devi could not get it, could not qualify being a gopi. So that we all know about it. So these three syllables, P, Re, and T, Preeti, okay, in the word Preeti are known throughout the world. Everyone knows, everyone heard about it, right? But do we really understand what is Preeti? Souls in whom they have entered become overwhelmed. What a shame or disgrace to them. Because we take this Preeti, it's just like ordinary love. That's not love, that's lust. Becoming gopis in Vraja and meditating with their spiritual bodies, they have given up all connection with matter. Remember, we all know gopis given up all material connections. No, they left everything for Krishna, even their own husbands, so-called husbands. Paramount love develops when its basis, the lover and the beloved, are pure. See, now we are beginning to hear why it is divine. Because both the gopis and Krishna are on the spiritual platform. And their love is pure, not selfish. Paramount love, conjugal love, does not exist anywhere except only in Vraja. It is forever incompatible even for Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi struggled, but she could not qualify. Because Lakshmi Devi is on the platform of great opulence, because she is accustomed to serve Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha, whereas this Gopi love, Gopi Prema, is completely on a spiritual platform, and there is awe and reverence. There is no divinity also involved. Text 28, and now that is 28 and 29 is the love of the Sahajas who try to imitate. They think that they are the Krishna and they are enjoying somebody else's wives. That is not what it is. Text 28, the men and women of the world are always on the wrong basis for that love. By attributing that love to the bodies of flesh and blood, souls become perpetual sinners. The author is really warning us not to ever even attempt that. So when souls attain Krishna's mercy through natural practice, they avoid even a subtle connection with the material body and run towards joyful spiritual rasas. Okay, now we'll see the second box. Now Sarup Damodar Goswami is continuing his explanation to Raghunath Das Goswami, okay? And then he is mentioning was the love of Raya Ramananda, Ramananda Rai. As Mahaprabhu himself glorified Ramananda Rai in one of the texts before we discussed, where he says Ramananda Rai is completely on a spiritual platform. Even though teaching the young girls in a play totally negated, still he was unaffected totally. That is possible only in a spiritual body. So Ramananda Rai's service to Krishna is genuine and natural. He's perfectly regulated in his practice, and perfect renunciation shines in his physical body. Physical body, but without the influence of Maya, without the influence of the three modes of material nature. Text 31. Having received Mahaprabhu's mercy, Ramananda Rai serves Krishna in Vraja in his pure body. He teaches maid servants of Jagannath. This is what I was referring to it. He teaches the maid servants of Jagannath to perform plays, but he is free from any inappropriate association with them. This is not possible for any of us. Text 32. Who is qualified to learn about this love? So we must have a proper qualification. Adhikara. Otherwise, we are not even qualified to hear even. So who is qualified to hear? No one has this qualification except Ramananda Rai. Know for certain that anyone who desires it at heart to see, touch, and serve another's wife is never qualified to learn about love. Really, red light. So why we are not most of us why are not qualified, almost all of us, because our heart is not pure. That's the reason. A Ramananda Rai kind of personality we must have. Our body must be spiritualized, and that is possible only when we surrender totally to Krishna and by his mercy. Because when we turn our face toward Maya's three modes of material nature cannot touch us, and that is when our body becomes spiritualized, and then only we are qualified to hear this what it is. So actually we are not given the privy to hear directly. It's through the mercy of Jagannatha Prabhu that we are able to hear now. But Jagannatha Prabhu is making it very clear what ought to be our qualification. So we should be conscious about that fact. Okay, here, text 33 to 36. Developing love is impossible in the presence of man-woman consciousness. So if you think that I am man and another one is a female, if you think like that, then you will never get anywhere. We are all female. The only male is Krishna. So we have to transcend that kind of consciousness, gender consciousness. Text 33. The wealth of love never exists in the affairs of men and women in this world, because it is not on material platform. Carnal pleasure is material aspect of it, always temporary. They have no connection with eternity, where spiritual love is eternal. Those who embrace the mood of the gopis and cultivate love by acting according to their spiritual nature are never involved in the affairs of men and women. They are gopis internally. So those who come to that platform, they themselves may not be gopis, but only at least a gopi bhav should be there. Then so those who embraces the mood of the gopis, so we are not anukarana but anusharana. We follow in the footsteps of the gopis. We are not male. We are meant to serve Krishna in Prema Bhakti. That is what this author is trying to tell us. Then only we become qualified to hear. And that's what he is assuming now that we are here. Even though we are not qualified, but in a Dainya Bhav, we are praying to hear about it through following the footsteps of Sri Gopi Bhava. By love, by acting according to their spiritual nature, are never involved in the affairs of men and women. They are gopis internally. So 36, now this is important verse. Verses such as, now the author is quoting this particular verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita actually. Yaha Kaumara Hara, the whole long verse is there. And in that yellow box that you see here, I'll reproduce from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And what is the highlight of it? Okay? That is what we focus on that, instead of reading every word of it. are simply analogies. They are analogies. And that's what Damodar Goswami was explaining to Raghunath Das Goswami, because he could not understand. It sounded like material platform, and he could not see any divinity, spirituality of that love in that poem that Mahaprabhu loved to hear all the time. Excuse me. So this is verse from Madhya Chaitanya Madhya Leela, chapter 1, text 58. This particular verse that the author is quoting are simply analogies. That's why Raghunath Das Goswami could not understand, because those are examples are given, they are analogies. Understanding that the lover and the beloved in these verses are spiritual. The soul should serve Krishna purely. So let's see what the verse says. And that very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. These are the same moonlit nights in the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of Malati flowers is there. The same sweet breeze are blowing from the Kadamba tree, Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, I'm also the same lover, yet still my mind is not happy here. I'm eager to go back to that place on the bank of the river under the Vatasi tree. That is my desire. Okay. Actually, it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's desire. Okay. So this verse was quoted there. And the history behind this verse is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita in the subsequent verses to 158, 1.58. And I put it there. So I'm going to just summarize. So what happened, this particular verse was discussed between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar Goswami. Okay. And at that point, that verse, when was spoken, discussed, heard by Srila Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami, what he did, because the significance of that verse explanation is not given directly, it's in an indirect manner. Okay. So he composed the verse reflecting the actual meaning of that verse himself, then become very clear. Okay. And then what happened, Rupa Goswami wrote that verse and he put it on the roof of his hut. Okay. A thatched hut. And he went to take a bath in that ocean, that because this is in Jagannath Puri. So so what happened while he was gone to take bath in the ocean and the sea, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there to see Rupa Goswami, and there he found this particular verse subscribed in that piece of little paper hidden on the roof, and Mahaprabhu read it, and he became perplexed. He became greatly enjoyed, actually, because that was actually his feeling. Even the original verse itself does not say that. It was given in a hidden way. But Mahaprabhu, when he read it, it exactly reflected his own feeling, okay, directly. So he was amazed. How come Rupa Goswami could understand my mood? So when Rupa Goswami returned, he asked him that no one can understand my mood, my mind, only Swarup Damodar Goswami. And how come you understood it and put that real meaning of that verse in your own composition? So Rupa Goswami actually was very humble, actually. he put a Sashtang Dandavat Pranam, pays his obeisances to the Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu then took it, that thing, Rupa Goswami's composition of that verse, to Swarup Damodar Goswami, and asked him, how come Rupa Goswami could understand my mood? So then Swarup Damodar Goswami tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that it is because by your direct mercy to Rupa Goswami. And that's why Mahaprabhu actually revealed for 10 days this Krishna Prema Bhakti, and that later on Rupa Goswami put it through scriptural foundation, and he composed this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and all the different scriptures that he wrote, Ujjwal Nilamani and all this, that thing that we did that, So this is the story behind that. Why Raghunath Das Goswami could not, when he directly read that poem of Vidyapati and Chandidas, because that is given in a hidden way, and it seems to give the appearance of mundane love, but actually it is divine love. But only those people who are knowledgeable can go deeper into it, understand that. And Rupa Goswami, when he heard it, he understood that. Exact. So those words are there in that actual verse, is actually reflecting the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let me read that original verse itself again. That very personality who stole away my heart during my youth is now again my master. So Mahaprabhu was actually Radharani, Srimati Radha, right? Krishna, but in Radha. So Radha is praying like that. These are the same moonlit nights of the month of Chaitra. The same fragrance of Malati flowers is there, and the same sweet breezes are blowing from the Kadamba forest. In our intimate relationship, Radha and Krishna, I am also the same lover. Okay. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying that. Yet still my mind is not happy there. Here, I am eager to go back to the place on the bank of the Reva under the Vatasi tree. That is my desire. So Mahaprabhu desire to experience the prema between Radha and Krishna. Okay. That's what it's, that is not coming out directly in that verse. Rupa Goswami put it directly, Mahaprabhu's own mood, in his own composition. Okay, so let's take a break here. I told you, I warned you, it's very complex and deep philosophy, but the author is really trying his best to help us understand, but we have to have that frame of mind to be able to understand. Aspect of that frame of mind, we are not male. Nobody's male. We are all females. And second, that kind of love is only between the gopis and Krishna. Only gopis have that. We are not that. But we follow in their footsteps, then hopefully we can experience, we can understand that love. So these two segments, these two aspects of it, qualifications, we need to have that. In the third aspect that we will hear later on in another lesson, the third aspect is that everything is actually in the present sense. In fact, Jaiva Dharma expands much deeper on that, that in the spiritual world, there is nothing past, present, future. Everything is present. Everything is in present tense. Just about 1 minute. All right. So the final last 3 verses. Um, this verses 37 to 47, last 3 slides. Of attributing this love to the mundane is hellish. You should never ever interpret in material terms. It is a deception produced by Kali. So the author is warning us. If someone says that by that ascribing love to another man is a way to serve Krishna, then on Sri Chaitanya's order, I do not accept their statements. I consider such a mundane conception to be hellish. Attributing spirit to the material body is a very crude attachment, and associated love for Krishna within the material body is completely wicked. So basically, the whole slide is about that. So I'll just skip. That's this in this slide. This number of verses, the author is saying that we should never ever consider love, Krishna Prema, in material terms. If we do, then we'll never get by very far. And if we do that, it will be the hellish way to understand that. So text 48 to 54, Mahaprabhu's instruction to Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. So now Raghunath Das Goswami is being instructed by Mahaprabhu directly. Don't listen to village talk. What do we mean by village talk? Village talk, mundane talk, mundane way, and discuss village matters, mundane topics. Do not eat fancy food or wear fancy clothes. So simple living, high thinking. Prabhupada used to say, be prideless, dainya bhav, and respectful. Always chant Krishna's holy name. So these are the way how we can become qualified to hear Krishna Prema Bhakti. If we follow Mahaprabhu's direct instructions, this is the way we should conduct ourselves. Chant Hare Krishna, only Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati, right? When you chant holy name, then the dirt in our heart, material dirt in our heart, gets purified. We come to the mode of goodness, and then only we become qualified to hear. Then it will make sense. Otherwise, it won't. As long as our heart is inauspicious elements are there, then we'll never understand. So Radha and Krishna in Vraja. When Raghunath Das Goswami received these instructions, he then understood that the divine love never developed through material practices. Text 51-52, within our heart, meditate with our spiritual body. And in that body, how do we get spiritual body? By directly serving Sri Krishna in Prema Bhakti, loving devotional service. Okay? Slowly, gradually, but surely, we will transcend the influence of Maya, the 3 modes of material nature, and that also not by not our own attempts, by Krishna directly. Shrunatam Swakatha Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana, Hridyantasto Bhadrani, Vidunoti Srut Satam. Krishna sitting in our heart. as super soul, he will purify our heart. Then Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya Bhagavati, that verse we always speak, right? Let me pass on the next verse. Tada Rajastamo Kama Bhava Chet Etir Anavitam Sitam Satya Prasthiti. Krishna sitting our heart, polishes the mirror of our heart, removes the influence of the lower modes, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Madha, Moha, by the influence of the mode of passion and ignorance. Then he establishes the mode of goodness. Then Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavad Bhakti Rojita and Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, that develops science of Krishna. Then we understand Krishna Prema. So that is the process we have to go through. So in your external body, always chant the holy name. Mahaprabhu is saying to Raghunath Das Goswami, chant holy name. So always chanting Hare Krishna. That is the way, only way our heart can be purified, not our own attempts, but by chanting the holy name, we take help from Srimati Radharani to medicate with Sri Krishna. And in your internal body, serve Radha and Krishna. Give up fancy food, so live in a simple manner. Simple living, high thinking. Here's the last slide, I think. 55 to 61. Love of Krishna, Krishna Prema. So now the author is summarizing, putting the final word. So he is warning us that false vairagya, the monkey redundant attribute, renunciate attributes, a conception rather than Krishna to the material body and disregards all principles. When you are in the monkey kind of renunciation, this is what happens. The Lord has said, those who act like renunciant, sannyasi, they act like that, but they don't reflect in their behavior and they converse with women. So as a renunciant, as a sannyasi, we are not supposed to converse with women freely like that. That's a false vairagya. What is true vairagya? Pure renunciants chant the holy name and live by begging and eating. That's exactly we will hear in Sri Jaiva Dharma. The principal character, Premadas Babaji, was exactly, his life was like that. Those who became renunciants but depend on others do not become successful, and Krishna ignores them. Those who become renunciants but indulge in craving of the tongue, tasty food, and fancy dresses. So even when sannyasi, they go and visit the grahasthas, and grahasthas treat them in a very, very opulent food, prasadam, renunciants always decline that. They want to have it very simple, become controlled by material taste. So a renunciant should always chant the holy name. All the time they chant Hare Krishna. Fill their belly with leaves, vegetables, fruits, and roots. That's the way they will accept only those. Those who go out amidst society to indulge the craving of their tongue become engrossed in their genitals and stomach and do not attain. So hunger for genital and the stomach, that is the enjoying opulent food. So Mahaprabhu is warning against that. And Mahaprabhu was conducting himself like that exactly. Okay, so I'll stop here. Thank you very much for your time, patience. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we should not be Krishna ourselves, okay? But if you want to have that kind of love, then have that kind of love with your beloved, prema. Then only our married life will be successful. Try to bring it on a spiritual platform. You may say that, oh, I'm Krishna, but Krishna like prema. Except do like that, then only, and serve the wife, the husband, and so Radha Krishna, especially in Gopi Bhav, then someday we might understand Krishna Prema, what it is. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavata Pranam.
Hare Krishna. I just made an attempt to explain, okay? It's by no means, it's very, very difficult topic, extremely difficult.
It's a so high depth philosophy, Prabhu. I can understand. It's so high depth philosophy and very
Yeah.
high standard knowledge. Okay.
And
Yeah,
even to
great
talk,
wisdom.
even to talk about that, discuss about that, it's very scary actually. I'm scared like anything, talk about like that, very, very, very difficult, because we are not on that kind of platform. That's the problem, So that's even the author himself, when he was explaining to us, he did not give his own words. He quoted the dialogue taking place between Swarup Damodar Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami.
I don't
Correct.
think this kind of high level standard, Prabhuji. Wonderful session, Prabhu. Just to start. Okay. It's definitely not an easy. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can clearly understand that. It's not at all a very easy topic or something. It's very, very high standard wisdom. And I personally feel we cannot see this kind of knowledge in any other place apart from here.
Yeah. Very
Yeah,
scary
we are
too.
so
But we have to have in that kind of consciousness. Then hopefully the Lord will help us,
Yes, bro. Yes, bro. I think you've been continuously saying Dhanya Bhava, Dhanya Bhava. I think that is what is required. Then only we can slowly understand and implement a little bit. Yeah, otherwise it is simply not possible. Okay.
We are just making baby steps, Thank you very much. Thank you.
So only one question, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, please.
Yeah. So you said at one point in spiritual there is nothing like a past or future, Prabhu.
We will
future.
hear more. Yeah, we will hear more about it in Sri Jaiva Dharma. Okay.
Okay.
But that has a direct application here. That's the reason I mentioned the third qualification that we needed. First, of course, remember that to recap, what are the two qualifications that is mentioned here? You hear properly? If you prepare, then you may be able to tell me two qualifications that is mentioned here. What are they? And then I mentioned third qualification from Jaiva Dharma. Okay, let's keep on moving. Raghunath Goswami mentioned two qualifications that we must have in order to even hear these things. First, that we should not be on this male-female consciousness, right? That was the first one. Male-female consciousness that we must give up. I'm giving the hint. What is the second one? Go back to my slides.
May I
yes,
tell?
please, Raksha. Yes.
हाँ प्रभु जी, जिसके मन में दूसरे की वाइफ को छूने की और इसके साथ बात करने की अगर इच्छा है, तो वो भी क्वालिफाई नहीं है. वो दिखाते हैं रिनाउंशिएट, बट इंटरनली वो जो है वो उसकी इच्छा है कि वो दूसरे की वाइफ के साथ बात करे, उसको टच करे वगैरह, तो वो भी क्वालिफाई नहीं है.
Yes, correct. Thank you, Mataji. So we make attempt and we depend on Krishna's mercy. By his mercy alone, the inauspicious elements of our heart needs to be purified, and that is by chanting the holy name. By the potency of the holy name, that's all we can do at our stage. But that is the most powerful way to make progress in this aspect. That someday we might understand the deep philosophy of what is Krishna Prema. Okay.
Hare Krishna, bro.
Yes. Fine. Prabhuji. Sir, Prabhu, you have some more point?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Rajiv Prabhu, oh, sorry, Rajiv Prabhu.
Rajiv Prabhu. Rajiv Prabhu
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thanks for a wonderful class, Prabhu. As Prasad Prabhu mentioned, it is a bit of a complex topic. This when Prema comes in the topic, it is the highest of a pinnacle. Person like me, it is not at all come near that one. But our ultimate goal is that one, the Prema. Surprisingly, our ultimate, all of us, our goal is Prema. But we are, with our limited senses, we are not able to understand that one. Prabhu, person like me, how I need to keep the hopes for this one? Even like a chanting is the only process. Yes, I do know. We are all say, you did mention, Prabhu. But again, 10 offenses I need to avoid them, especially inattentive chanting. Mind goes here and there while chanting. Even with that also, Prabhu, I'm just give me some motivation so that I can keep this one. Yes, as you said, Dainya Bhava, yes, is there, but how I need to keep motivate myself, Prabhu. Give some hopes for that one, Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
The answer is Madhurya Kadambini. Madhurya Kadambini. So listen very carefully that
Yes, Prabhu.
lessons, and exactly the real Madhurya Kadambini, that is in a sense will be beginning as soon as we complete Prema Vivarta, and that's
Yes,
where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur takes us right from beginning. The little faith we have and chanting the holy name, sadhu sangha association. So keep regularly attending these classes. Only through these classes you get to associate with the devotees. These are the ways. Then engage bhajana kriya, and then we'll remove those inauspicious elements from our heart. Anartha nivritti. Those inauspicious elements that we have in our heart, we have to retire by, the key is sadhu sangha, devotee association, who puts us in chanting the holy name, engages us in chanting the holy name. This is the way to make progress. And this anartha, why these anarthas are there? Because we committed many, many offenses.
Yes,
All
Prabhu.
the sinful activities are there, the reactions are there that are impeding our progress. So that is the bottleneck, the rate limiting step in physics that we learn, right? What is rate limiting step? The bottleneck. Then we get into this Nishtha Bhakti. So then it's a downhill. But the uphill going, how to retire those anarthas. And that also by taking the mercy of Krishna's devotees. Krishna's invested that potency in those devotees who help us. So that's why I said Madhurya Kadambini. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I add 2 points more? with
Please,
this?
please.
प्रभु जी, राजू प्रभु जी, प्लीज मैं ऐसा करती हूँ कि डेली सबसे क्षमा मांगती हूँ. आस्क फॉरगिवनेस एंड गिव फॉरगिवनेस. Daily we have to do mentally, so it helps very much. This is my personal experience. And second one is chant in morning time. But
Very good points.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
So much. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Raju Prabhu, you want to add anything more? Okay. So
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, I have some doubts, Prabhuji. In
Like what?
Last slides में जो monkey renunciation and false
Yeah.
renunciation के बारे में बताया है, तो in India there are like so many so-called renunciants जो अभी जेल में पड़े हैं. तो वो ये कि बाहर से दिखावा करते हैं और अंदर से कुछ और है. वही है ना प्रभु जी?
Yes,
वो
मिथ्याचार. That is Krishna calls in Bhagavad Gita Mithyacharis,
मिथ्याचार
those who pretend. And that's the worst kind, worst kind. Worst
Yes,
kind.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. Archana Mataji, you have something to add, please? Please.
I just want to ask one question is about whether today's class has been recorded, because I don't see it there in the group, the link.
It is recording. Recording is going on. I think I see it is recording.
And also,
Yes,
I
Mataji,
don't-
live streaming is also going on.
okay, somebody can post the link on the group, will be nice. And also, I tried to go into the group, Bhakti Shastra group, and somehow they are saying that not the WhatsApp group, where the recordings are stored. So it says I have been temporarily blocked. If someone can look into it, I'll be very much appreciated.
Sanjeev Prabhu could shed some light. Maybe we can write to him. Sharad Prabhu, do you know?
Sanjeev Prabhu, he will be able to help.
Okay. No, but I think this Bhakti Shastri website, that is actually not up to date, It's lagging behind so much, That's the reason.
Okay. Okay. Anyways,
But we will ask him to give the latest on that, okay? We'll
okay,
ask him.
because today's
Yeah.
class I couldn't attend fully, so I want to hear it again.
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
wanted the link for it. If anyone can give it to me, I'll be very thankful.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much.
Any other questions, comments? Nitya Sakhi Mataji is there? Yes, she's there.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Mataji, you want to make any comments or anything? Questions?
Yes, Prabhuji. I joined late today. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay, so
हरे
I'm going.
कृष्ण प्रभु जी, हरे
Yes.
कृष्ण प्रभु जी, एक पॉइंट है
हाँ जी, बोलिए।
रघुनाथ दास गोस्वामी के द्वारा हमें ये शिक्षा मिल रही है, ऐसा हम समझ सकते, क्योंकि वो तो एग्जल्टेड डिवोटी है, मगर उनको भी जो ऐसा क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं, तो उनके द्वारा हमें बहुत ही अच्छी शिक्षा आज मिली, ऐसा हम समझ सकते हैं प्रभु जी?
Yeah, because that's his Dainya Bhav. See,
Yes,
how do we know those who are advanced? Those who are really advanced, truly advanced, they never admit that they are advanced. Look at, we heard today, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself said that I don't have even a trace of love for Krishna. That is really the zenith of it, I mean, Mahaprabhu himself really feels that way, then what to speak of us? So we are never, unless we have the Dainya Bhav, we cannot make progress.
तो प्रभु जी हमें दैन्य भाव क्यों नहीं आ रहा है अभी भी इतना?
Because the pride
Because of अहंकारा?
Pride, ahankara, false pride. And that is there, it's right within ourselves. So that is why we have this material body and the influence of the three modes of material nature, Maya, who is preventing us. But actually she is doing service to Krishna. She is the one who makes us qualify, truly qualify to come to Krishna conscious platform. She filters away a lot of things within us. Even though we know that these are three modes, but they are meant for us to realize the futility of our material pursuits. There is no real happiness. There is no real love in that. So she is making us experience that, feel the pain. Then only we come to Krishna conscious platform. Remember, 4 ways we come to Krishna conscious platform. Artha, when we are truly disgusted with the material life, sufferings and all the things. Artha, arthi, expecting something in material terms. Jnana, and the 4th. So that is how we come to this platform. And we have to make progress by that. But simple beginning and everything ends is right chanting the holy name. That's all we can do at this point. That's within our power. But there also We need help. Nishta Bhakti with the right way of chanting the holy name to realize its full potency. In fact, that's what I'm saying myself. It's to chant really truly the way it should be chanted. That is what we are still struggling to realize its full potency. But the desire is there. If the desire is there, then Krishna will come to help us. Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam, right? He said, whatever you have, I'll protect. Whatever you don't have, I will provide. He says very nicely, Yoga Kshem Vahamyam. Yeah. Okay, so last few minutes are remaining. I'm going to turn over to Sharad Prabhuji to elaborate some of the questions, answers here.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
In this class, we spoke about lust. Lust, as we know, it is explained in Bhagavad Gita also, it is very difficult to control and all that. But there is one very simple way given, I have heard many times, how to control lust. You just remember the following 5 personalities early in the morning when you get up from bed and when you go to the bed at night. Just remember these 5 personalities who had total control over their lust. These 5 personalities, they are Sanat Kumara. Basically, Sanat Kumara is representing his own 4 brothers. They are 4 brothers, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara. One is Sanat Kumara. Second is Narada. Third is Sukadev Goswami. Fourth is Bhisma, and 5th is Hanuman. You remember them early in the morning and while going to the sleep, and gradually lust can be controlled with this method very, very easily. Then we spoke about that very famous verse quoted from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is what is being said. Radharani is saying the same fragrance of Malati flowers is still there. The same sweet breeze is blowing from the Kadamba forest. And in our intimate relationship, I am also the same lover. Yet still my mind is not happy. Why the mind is not happy? What is being said? Because this is in reference to their relationship, their meeting at Kurukshetra. As you know, in Kurukshetra, Krishna also had come from Dwarka, and the Brajavasis also had come from Braja, and they had met there. Now, what was the problem in Kurukshetra? Now, Kurukshetra, there Krishna was a king. He was a prince, and there was Aishwarya. And the Brajavasis, Radharani and the others, Gopis, they are in Madhurya. So that is what is the difference. Actually, out of Aishwarya and Madhurya, Madhurya has a much higher place, and that is what is liked by Lord Krishna. He doesn't like Aishwarya. He likes the simple-minded Brajavasis and how they live their lives and how they keep him in the center and they think of him only without thinking about themselves. That is what is the essence. Then the third thing, yesterday I was explaining some of the things of Ashtakaliya Leela of Mahaprabhu. Today I'll give just another Ashtakaliya Leela, another part of the day. That is the morning pastime, Pratah Leela. That is from 6 in the morning till 8:24 in the morning, 6 to 8:24. That is the present time actually here in India. Now, what is happening? The most important thing happening around Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is his breakfast is being cooked. Now, who are preparing his breakfast? The wives of the Lord's dear devotees, they bring the best of their items from their homes and present them to Sachimata. And Sachimata then enters the kitchen and asks Vishnupriya to begin the cooking. And with great effort and great attention, they make so many types of dishes which are the very favorite of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And yesterday in the last yesterday's class, we had some preparations which are very the favorite of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One is the rice, the second is the spinach. Now let us see what is prepared for the breakfast. There are very many dishes, but some of them are the sweet rice, the varieties of spinach, not one but many of them. Then eggplant mixed with sesame seeds, pea soup with dried mango, minced vegetables spiced with black pepper, ghee fried chickpeas, beans patties, and numerous types of pickles. Then the cakes made of flowers, sweet pies with farina, the laddus, jalebis, milk sweets, condensed milk, cool kshira, squash cooked in milk or yogurt, ghee fried spinach, and then sharbats made from pomegranate, lotus flowers, and sugarcane, topped with coconut pieces, oranges, almond, mashed date balls, lemons, grapes, custard apples, mixed with profuse quantities of fresh cream. Now, Sachidevi feels overjoyed to see the assortment of the cooked preparations, and while arranging the offering for their deity, that is Lord Vishnu, Sachimata asks Vishwambara, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to quickly take bath in the Ganga. And this is what is the morning pastime, where breakfast is being prepared for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The other things we will discuss gradually when we get time. Now it is time for closing down, and that is finishing the class with the Nrsinga prayers. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Sir Prabhuji. Thank you very much. So I'm going to request Sagar Prabhu to conclude the class with Nrsimha prayer. Hari Bol, Sagar Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please assemble normal session. All go to Srila Prabhupada. Namaste Narasimhai. Namaste Narasimhai. Praladaladahi. Praladaladahi. Hiranyakasi Purvaksaha. Hiranyakasi Purvaksaha. Tilakankar Nathali, Tilakankar Nathali. Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha, Ito Narsingha, Parato Narsingha. Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha, Ito Yami, Ito Narsingha. Vai Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha, Vai Narsingha, Hriday Narsingha. Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prapade. Narasimhamadin Sharanam Prapade. Vakala Kamala Bhare. Nakadbhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakashipur Tanubringam. Kesavadita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jai Jagadisha Hare. Tavakala Kamala Bhare. Nakadbhuta Singam Sita Hiranyakasipu Tanubringam Kesavadhita Narahari Rupam Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare नरसिंह भगवान की जय, भक्त प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, शिला प्रपात की जय, चारु प्रभु की जय, शरद प्रभु की जय, गुरुदेव की जय, ऑल assembled devotee की जय। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण चारु प्रभु, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. All glory to Srila Prabhupada, all glory to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glory to the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, all glory to all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So
Hare Krishna.
tomorrow we will take lesson 11, 8, 9, 10th lesson, and that's on chapter 17. The codes of conduct for different classes of devotees that we will hear. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. I found the link. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank
Could
you,
you
Prabhu.
share? Could you share with everyone, please?
Yes, Prabhu, I will share. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hi.
Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Chandravai.
Sujita.
Thank you, Chandravai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Hare
Sarat
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji. Thank you
Krishna to
so much,
every
Sir
Krishna.
Prabhuji and Char Prabhuji.
every
Hare Krishna,
devotee.
Chandravai.
Pranam.
Thank you, Harsha. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Prasad Prabhuji, Sharad Prabhuji. So I'll see you tomorrow. I bol.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.